Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to really get started on the right foot if you want to start an online business. Um, my name is Lloyd, and um, I just wanted to put together this little video as kind of a primer for anyone that's been in that position that, hey, this sounds like a good idea, and maybe you don't understand exactly what you're going into, or you absolutely understand what you're going into, but you don't know where to start, how to get started, and kind of some of the angles that you need to go in order to be successful. So, a little bit about myself before I go in too deep. Again, my name is Lloyd. I'm an electronic warfare professional, ethical hacker, security researcher, and have done some digital marketing. I'm prior military. Uh, I've done a lot of things, got a lot of skills. Feel free to check out my LinkedIn profile, as that's what I've got displayed here. Just, I've written some articles on some different technical aspects. And I'm basically just telling you this so that you understand that I am coming at this from an experienced perspective in the tech industry. It's pretty much my life and what I've done for, I don't want to say how many years, but about 20. And yes, I did start before I was 18, so there's that. Got a bunch of certifications in different things. These are probably the ones most interesting to anybody that would care. Most of these are HubSpot, but I do have the Google Analytics individual qualification. I'm working on AdWords currently, and all these certs are up to date, and I've done sales training, a bunch of other stuff. So moving into, I use an app known as Trello as kind of a process organizational deal. I find that it's a pretty good mapping tool, if you will. I like it, and this is just one of my boards. I've just titled it the Prime Solution, but I'm going to be pulling some knowledge from this, as I'm also developing a book for a 6-month marketing plan, and this is kind of keyed in on those kind of steps and everything that any business should be able to use to be successful with marketing. So, first off, before we go into this, what is digital marketing? Everybody would talk around it. Oh, it's advertising. Point blank, period, end of story. It's advertising. Most people only think of advertising when they hear, pay per click, or the big ones, Google AdWords, or now Facebook ads has started to take some of the market share. But all digital marketing, for its advertisement to bring either yourself or a client leads into the top of their or your sales funnel. That's it. That's what it is. That's its whole thing. Now, as a digital marketer, you're helping other people, get leads. That's your entire job, is to get leads for other people. The hardest thing about your entire job is because you need to convince the client that it converts into a ring in the register for them. There's a lot of things in digital marketing that just seem kind of like magic, and what you need to do is convince a client, a prospect, anybody you want to work with, that this is adding value, because it does. That's a fact. It adds value, but you need to be able to show how it adds value to your client. So, the first thing when you're starting out is, everybody will tell you You're going to need to pick a niche. I've got this pick a location next, but we'll come back to that. You're going to need to pick a niche. Niching just means finding where you fit. And a lot of people will go into either super saturated niches, or they'll be so obscure that they can't really be effective. So picking a niche is one of the core foundations of your business. And there's other people that say just do what you love. Well, if you do what you love, there are ways for you to make money. But especially when you're starting out, you need to focus on sales, selling your services to somebody else. So if you want to start a business, things like SEO, which, by the way, I love. I'm just saying, SEO, content gen. What's another one that doesn't really start to make the register ring for you? Info products, all those kind of things. I wouldn't focus heavily in those unless you have a lot of that stuff just laying around that you have from other experience. Those things will grow. I forget the gentleman's name, and I'll hopefully put it in the description because I really like his channel. But there's a guy on YouTube that referenced basically hunting and gathering. There's a lot of stuff that does have turnover and all that kind of stuff, and those are your gathering or your farming skills. You're going to grow it, you're going to water it, and it's going to grow over time, and it's going to be that resource for repeat business and steady. But especially when you start out, you need to get sales. And this is a mistake that I made. I made that mistake. I learned all the skills. I made content. I made all this stuff. But the focus you need to have is finding in this niche what somebody else needs to get them business, and what things that you can do that you can get paid for. So we're going to go into that a little bit because the biggest focus is learning where you fit and what services you can sell out the gate. Because there's a lot of things that you don't need to have uber experience in order to make your business. Now, you will want to learn certain things and get certain tools and as you progress and expand. But there's so many things that starting from basics and starting off, it's just making the sale and networking. So that's enough of peeking behind the curtain here. So let's go into a whiteboard and just do some talking here. So we know what digital marketing is now, and you want to make a business, right? So a lot of people, what they'll say is, oh, you need to go out and make a website. You need to establish yourself and as an expert in this. Yes, you do. You will eventually need to do that. But starting from day one, the first thing you should be doing is, okay, what do I know how to do? If you've used a computer, you've used Facebook, you've probably used LinkedIn, you've been on YouTube, you like to watch YouTube. I'll tell you now, especially in 2019, video is booming. And how-tos, and that's a major traffic draw. If you can make a how-to and give people information, that'll start drawing traffic. So yes, you eventually need a website. You probably eventually want to have business cards so you can pass them out to people. But the very first thing you need to know is, what do I know how to do? How can I profit from it? So if you've used Facebook, there's stuff you can do with Facebook. If you've used YouTube, just to record your video games, for instance, which you can uh, start streaming or whatever. But again, those are also slow builds. Most of the stuff that you want to get involved with in the very beginning, especially if you're just trying to start out and go make money, and also understand that that's from the perspective of you don't have another job. If you have another job, focus on those uh, farming things, build up your stuff, blah blah blah. But this is, man, I need to start making money this month, otherwise I'm not gonna make rent. These are things that you need to get in line. So, so in my case, I have all that technical experience, right? So what does that mean that I can do before I even learned any of the marketing stuff? You know, I had experience with programming. I had experience. I liked playing around with WordPress. Um, I'm not as big on social media, being honest. I basically opened up a social media for my family because I'm not near them. And, you know, I've made friends over the years, but I never turned it to a business purpose until recently. So there was one. And, you know, and everybody would go, oh, you need to be on all the social media platforms. No, you don't. If I was to start over and I had nothing, uh, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Those three are all you need. E- Everything else has, you know, a very specific niche and use, and they can also be very effective. But those three, those are your big bangers, and that's just the way it is. Facebook has the biggest user base. Uh, Twitter is good for short posts. YouTube, video. Those are the only three that you need to be active in. So the other big one that's coming out is, you know, Google My Business. That's a well, it's a local directory, and I'll get into that in another video. But it's a local directory that Google controls, and it's basically free advertising. So that's another place where you can post and that kind of stuff. So you can be building up some of those uh, assets while you're actively seeking clients, because there's a lot of uh, there's a very inbound methodology to sales and marketing in today's usage, but especially starting out, you just need to beat pavement, and that's a skill that a lot of people, including myself, either don't have or don't think about. So let's see. Oh, we're gonna try to draw. I'm using a mouse, so basically, if you've ever, oh, that's terrible. All right, we'll just go with it. I'm trying to remember exactly how many there are, but we'll work from here. All right. So there's a pyramid of needs, and if you've ever taken a psychology class or whatever, this is a good way to start thinking about um, stuff that you can get involved with that is important, that people are likely to buy, right? So what is like our primary needs in life? Food, shelter, clothing. That's kind of optional depending on where in the world you live and your local laws. But we do need it to, cover it from the elements. So there's that. Here, I'm just gonna. Here, we'll Google this. The is that needs pyramid? Needs pyramid. Okay. Yeah, the hierarchy of needs. Maybe I should just pull up an image. Because especially, I don't need to go through all this text because this is just for illustration purposes. I apologize. Come back here. hierarchy of needs. Gotta love the modern internet. Images. Okay. So yeah. So this is basically the hierarchy of needs. Much better than my drawing, right? So you got your physiological needs, your food, water, warmth, rest, safety, belongingness, and your relationships and friends. Now notice that there's a lot of things that you can already see would fit into these niches. Um, you know, food, water, warmth, rest, security, safety. Like especially this bottom block of the pyramid. I mean, food and water. So anything in like the food industry, canneries, farmers, that kind of stuff that need advertising. There's some ideas. Safety, security needs, alarm systems. Here's one: plumbers. If you have a pipe that breaks, who are you gonna call, and who will you be looking for right now? Yeah, so if you can help those guys get, let's say first page of Google for their company and whatnot, and you're bringing them leads, well, this is a little bit more advanced for a later time, but each plumber call, especially for an emergency, you're talking a minimum of like $500 each person that comes to, in that case, the plumber would be your client. So, I mean, that's very self-esteem needs, like body image, beauty products, stuff like that. And that kind of also feeds into your self-actualization. This is like more art, but we need that too. So, I mean, especially starting out, these three, or two actually, yeah, because this is pretty good on the side here. Your basic needs. Your basic needs are a good spot to start looking at niches. And then next you go into your psychological needs and, self-fulfillment needs. Now, if you've got experience, go ahead and start anywhere on that pyramid that you want to, but that's just something I had thought about, was these needs and stuff like that. So we got safety needs, psychological needs. Now, I like to use plumbers a lot in a lot of my videos, and anybody that's watched them before, excuse me, I apologize. Everybody's always, I'm technically still on my clock, but anybody who's watched my videos before knows that I like to use plumbers, mostly because remember my family, my grandfather is a master plumber, and a lot of those people don't get a lot of respect, because they're a service oriented industry, and I just like plumbers, so I'm gonna use plumbers. That's just the way it is. Feel free to steal this niche. I'm not actively using this right now, but I could and would, but feel free to steal it. Plumbers. So I'm located here in San Diego. So this is just how you would maybe start looking at what you could do for a plumber. So we'll go plumbers, San Diego. Now there's a couple different ways you can search. This is like the most base, plumber San Diego. Now what tools do you need when you're doing this? You do not need any tools. One that I recommend is this Keywords Everywhere tool. It's just it's a Chrome plugin. Real easy to get, free, all that kind of stuff. Install it. It works. So what this tool does for you, it gives you a volume, cost per click. That's if you were doing paid ad stuff, and like the competition level. So you can see, and each of these kind of has a volume is 480 searches per month. Cost per click, every time somebody clicks on this term, the person using that term to like in AdWords would be paying $54.28. So it's a pretty expensive word or group of words in this case. Competition is 0.64. Now that's in this case it's 0 to 1.0 is the scale. So we have that. And then in the search they have this new sponsored ad points, and this is something I'm looking into right now. This is a new advertising method that obviously it puts every right up at the top. And then you have, these are the old school standard ads. And then you have the map pack, which you want to be here. Notice that there's no ads in the top of this map pack. So these are local businesses that have managed to get at the top ranking in the map pack. So when somebody's say on their cell phone and they Googled, hey, plumber San Diego, most people are not going to go past page 1 of Google. Most people are not going to go what's called below the fold on page 1 on Google. Now the fold is like as soon as you need to scroll down, that's where the fold really starts. But in this case, a lot of people will ignore the ads just on principle, but then they'll get down into here and they'll pick the first one that's in their map pack, because when you're Googling stuff, it's generally where is it in relation to me. Like instead of plumber San Diego, I could have used plumbers near me, which we'll put that search in real quick just so you can see. It'll change a little bit, and there's probably more search volume, and there is. See, there's 25,000 searches per month, but this also takes into account my location, your location, or wherever you are in radius. So I mean, granted, there are a lot more searches being performed per month, but these are like Google snippets, blah, blah, blah. But okay, so when we go in here, this is probably where most people are going to click, this top plumber. They won't even click into this more places, because when you're searching stuff, especially in your hierarchy of needs, and that falls under basic, if your shitter's overflowing, you've got a broken pipe, basement's flooded, whatever. That's a pretty big need, and it's an emergency need. You're not really considering as much. Oh, well, that's going to cost me $500 or $400. No, I just need somebody to come over here and fix that thing so that I'm not wading through my basement. So I'm going to go to powers because I've actually looked at Emory before. Oh, it didn't. It actually took me into the pack itself. So okay. Now, granted, I have all these skills, right? But we know they have a website, directions, and this is all. You can set this up with a Google My Business thing. They've obviously claimed their stuff, because if this wasn't claimed, there would be other stuff in here basically saying you want to claim this. It might be a little lighter or whatever. So they've entered all their information, and they've set up their Google My Business local directory. So we'll go to the website. I'll open that new tab. So I know that I can't really offer them a Google My Business assistance, right? Which this is a really easy thing to do, and you can charge about $250 for it. Doing Google My Business and a couple other local directories, you can easily charge $250 for that, for instance. So, what do they got going on here? Yeah, never mind. I'm gonna go to another one. There's another plugin that I'm using that just told me that doesn't have what I would want to see anyway. Okay, yeah. So Emery works fine. There's another plugin that I'm using. It's a Wapalizer. I'm not sure if that'll actually show when I click it with the way that this software is. But what this lets me know is this is a WordPress site. And my mouse is hovering over that right now. But this is a WordPress site. Right? Now I have chosen WordPress as to be the only website platform that I'm going to deal with. So that's the first thing you need to decide for yourself is what kind of client do I want to work with? In most cases, personally, I don't want to build websites. That's a great place to start if you know how to build a site and you want to get somebody in a site. And I do offer those services, but when I'm prospecting, I don't want to build a website. That's kind of an ass pain. Getting somebody to switch from whatever builder they're on to the builder that I want. So I don't want to build a website. I will upgrade a website. I will work on a website, but I don't want to try to shift a client or a prospect into WordPress if I don't have to. I would rather work with people that have WordPress. So they have WordPress. Okay. So that would be a first criteria for me to want to target them, for instance. Now, in my case, I actually don't want to target them, and I'll tell you why. Because they are on page 1 of Google. So, I'll come back to the whiteboard for a sec. Big eraser. Go away. Yeah. Page 1 is not where you'll get clients. That is not an absolute, but generally speaking, you don't want to mess with page 1. They're doing their shit right. They could be improved, but they're doing their shit right. So, page 1 is not where we'll get clients. Page 2 and beyond, put a couple of those there, is where we'll get clients. Okay, so coming back here. So you see that they have a WordPress site. They're on page 1. So this is whoever that we're going to look for on page 2 and beyond. This is what we're competing with. This is should be number 1 in slot, I believe. We'll go back because I thought, yeah, they are number 1 in slot after the ad that actually shows up once you get into the maps itself. So they're basically number 1. So we don't need to re-Google or anything. We just go down here to, this is our local map. I'm going to go to page 2. Let's go to page 2. See what we got. So anybody starting from page 2 is a potential client versus Emery. Now what I would do is actually analyze Emery's whole site and see, what kind of keywords that they have and what kind of backlinks that they have, for instance, their social media standing, all that kind of stuff. I would get this information so that when I look at another client site that I'm going to do right now, I'm actually going to go to page 4 because why not? The farther that you go away from page 1, the easier relatively the sale is. You can definitely improve anybody who's not on page 1. So I'm just going to go to page 4 because I'm going to go to page 4. Let's see here. Do you even have a website? Okay, so see, that's also an important criteria for me is, do they have a website? So in their Google My Business listing, they've also been claimed, all that kind of good stuff. They've got pictures and reviews and all that. So, okay. Promising, promising. Okay, so we're going to go to the website. Let's see what their website looks like. Ooh, okay. Now you may not be able to see, you're probably not able to see, but they aren't even using the CMS. This is an old school built website. And it's built with PHP. But honestly, some of the stuff is out of date. I would actually pursue this, but I'm not going to demonstrate it on here. So let's go to another one, see if it's not a WordPress site. Because I'd like to find a WordPress site on page 2 and beyond. Go back to page 4. That one doesn't even have a website. This one says it has a website. So let's see what you're rocking. Okay, so this is a WordPress website. So this is exactly who I would want to work with. Oh boy. It's a broken WordPress website. So this potential person right here would kind of be this would be almost an ideal client for me. Why? Because, well, being completely honest, the site is broken. The site's broken. They have a web presence, but the site is very broken. So this would be a very opportune site for me. And actually, sorry, I'm going to bookmark this right now. Actually. So this company, I already know that from this point, I can actually find a contact at this company, and I could start, telling them a couple things that I think that they should fix. And I would do it in a video like this, or I would just shoot them an email once I found their contact information. Hey, hello. I was actually out looking, whatever, however you want to say it. You were looking in their niche, and you help plumbers with their marketing online, and drawing them leads. You'll have to come up with a sales pitch to put in your email or your phone call, but not a sales pitch, a script, a conversation starter, because you're not really going to try to sell with your initial contact. That's another element. But at this point, you just fire off that email like, hey, I noticed this, this, and this. Would you like to see a more in-depth, write-up or a short video that I can show you what I'm talking about, and some improvements to your site that I can suggest. This is just that conversational starter. Again, don't try to sell it to them. They might just go, hey, yeah, how much do you charge for that kind of stuff, because I don't want to do it. But that's the conversation starter. But what we would do with this site, for instance, the site's not secure. That's a huge thing today. You can let them know that, and all they really have to do to get their site secured is get a hold of their service provider, and most of them are provided for free these days because it's so important. It's still not a technical ranking factor on Google, but it is, because if you generally don't have that. You'll get a big red triangle in the middle of your screen going, this site's not secure. I've kind of disabled that, um, but the site has no graphics on it. This is broken code here. Something was here. This has supposedly been updated recently. Either that or they have the JavaScript automated in there. And again, I don't know if you'll be able to see this because of the way that the plugins work, but let's see what else they got going on. They're running an outdated version of WordPress. Outdated jQuery. Another plugin that I use a whole lot is SEOquake, and it provides some decent diagnostic tools and some SEO stuff completely free. There's a lot of good information from it. You may not be able to see right now, again, because of the way that the plugin works. Let's see. They're not really getting any kind of traffic. Yeah, this site needs a whole lot of work. There's a real reason why this is not on even page 2 and it's on page 4. The domain is 6 years old, so it should be, better. And this is, to me, it looks like somebody started to build a site and just kind of gave up. So there's a lot of potential, a lot of marketing potential for this prospect, for you to get in line with them, to help them with their marketing needs. So that was one, and you would just keep on going down the list, down the list, down the list, in whatever way you wanted to go. Let me see something here. Strong Heart Plumbing. They are on Yelp. They're decently rated on Yelp, which is good. So it looks like somebody has gone through and actually claimed a lot of their local directory listings, for instance, which is probably why they are at least on page 4. But the website is in disrepair, and they would need a lot of love in that. They are actually advertising, or no, they're not. I don't think that they are actually advertising at all. They're not advertising, but they are getting reviews, like I say, on Yelp. But there's a lot of opportunity with a site like that. For instance, you could just improve the site, update their WordPress. I'd update the WordPress, add a blog, make it look pretty, for starters. Or even if you didn't add a blog, add some more tech stuff. So if you were going to, say, pitch this company on content, for instance, and not a whole rebuild of a site, well, what would you do? All right. There, I'll show you how to cheat. We'll go back to Emory. Go to Emory's website. Open link in new tab. Because they're doing everything right? They're number one. So, and on that stronghold, they don't even have a favicon up here. I'm not even going to analyze their SEO because it's not. They need a lot of work. So let's see, what do they have? They've got a blog. They got their stuff up to date, I believe. No, they do not. So that's actually something that I could target Emory with. However, yeah, they're running some older software, etc. But they have a lot of. They've got the social icons, all that kind of stuff. So they have their stuff all tied together, for instance, right? So this Keywords Everywhere tool also has another function. For instance, no, I'm going to go to one of their blogs for this, because you can do this to their whole site, but go to one of their blogs. They basically, I don't know if they have a blog per se. They have it just appears to be a silo structured site with a lot of information, which does the same thing as a blog. But the Keywords Everywhere tool, for instance, can analyze a page. Let's see what they got on this page. Total word count for this page, for instance, it's like 814 words. It tells you what the description is, and there's other ways to analyze, but you can see some of their top keywords in a nice little spreadsheet. Get competition values for those, and then you can throw that into some content for whatever prospect that you have in the industry on page 2 and beyond, right? So there's lots of little things that you can get into especially when you're trying to sell a service, even if you don't know all this stuff. I'm not a big fan of fake it till you make it, but what I'm saying is don't get over focused on developing all these skills. Go with what's needed. Try to find something that's needed for each client beyond page 1. And as you find those things, you'll probably pick up more skills, but there's plenty that you could just dive straight into. Like I was never big on social media, for instance, but there's, especially in the younger generation today, them guys can just go, oh yeah, I'll just post this, and this, and cat memes all day. There's a cat with a freaking plunger next to it because it's cute or whatever, and they know what time of day to post it. For instance, I'm like, hey, call Strong Heart Plumbing. They just built that meme, and somebody's gonna associate that little cute kitten with a plunger and Strong Heart Plumbing. And that post will also lead back to their, say, Facebook business page, because that's what I would do. Is I would set up a Facebook business page if I was going to post memes like that and whatever, so somebody could lead back to that, and then hopefully to my website, or better yet, calling me to book an appointment. And that's how you can be effective. But you didn't learn any SEO or PPC talents doing that. You just knew how to make some memes, make people giggle, and associate the Strong Heart Plumbing with a cute kitten and a plunger, for instance. So always focus on what people need and how you can fit versus what skills you have and what skills you need. Focus on what you have, and happy hunting. So I plan to go deeper into this and, actually have little snippets, step by step, that kind of thing. Uh, this vid was more off the cuff than intended, because I was just thinking to myself about how things were when I started out, and I went down the direction of, oh, I need to learn how to do this, or I need to learn how to do this, or I need to no, you don't. The first thing you should look out for is, what do you know how to do? How can you apply that in the digital marketing arena for a niche? Pick a niche, or one or two, and how can you help them generate leads? That's your entire job, using a digital format. Traditional marketing, was done with coupons and flyers, posters, billboards, TV advertising, and a lot of those are still done. Cold calling people, hey, would you be interested? Emailing, snail mail, all that kind of stuff. It's your ability to lead people to the top or mouth hole of your client sales funnel. That's your job as a digital marketer. So don't get over focused on, I need to learn XYZ skill. Get more focused on, how can I help my client now? What can I do for them now? And then all you have to do is sell them on the idea, because it is effective. Your effectiveness will equate into dollars and cents for them. The thing that you need to learn is how to express that. Show them their ROI, or return on investment. So, till next time, I'm Lloyd, McVey Marketing Solutions. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in future video logs, vlogs, blogs, all that kind of stuff, because I'm still learning myself, and input is good. So till next time, take care and have a good one.